Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Well, let's just start off with you introducing yourself.
My name is Daniel Okel Simmons. I was born on the 3rd of December 1948 to the parentage of the late Daniel Theophilus Simmons and Maria Olene Wallace Simmons. I got my early education at Knowles Public School in Cat Island. Later on, I attended the Bahamas Teachers College, where I obtained teacher's certificate from Bahamas government and one from University of the West Indies. I made a commitment to the Lord Jesus Christ on the 16th of April 1961. Howbeit, I did not live very close to that commitment that I had made, and I rededicated my life to the Lord in 1985. At that time, I was principal of Cooperstown High School, and I attended Friendship Mission in Cooperstown, Abaco. It was there that I gained experience in ministry, so that by the time I left Cooperstown in 1990, I had been preaching regularly between Friendship Mission Church and the Baptist Church in Fire Road. In 1990, my family and we moved back here to Nassau. And later that year, 1990, I was transferred to Governor's Harbor High School in Palmetto Point, Eleuthera. Now, my family did not go with me. The only one that came was Dan Desmond Simmons, my second son. While in Eleuthera, I spent a lot of time one-on-one with the Lord. And most Sundays found me preaching either at National Church of God in Governor's Harbor or the AME Church in Palmetto Point. And so by the time I returned to New Providence in 1992, I had had quite a lot of experience in ministry work. Now, while in Eleuthera in 1991, during a quiet time, the Lord rested in my spirit that He had called me to be a pastor. Upon returning to Nassau in 1992, I continued to attend Michael Bible Church, which was my home church here in Nassau. In 1993, Pastor Ed Gaudette, who was then pastor of Carmichael Bible Church, he asked me whether I would consent to be an elder of the church. I consented. In 1994, I was ordained as a minister of the Bahamas Evangelical Church Association. And in 1996, when Pastor Ed moved to Andros, I became pastor of Carmichael Bible Church, a position which I held until the 31st of December, 2013.
Okay. Well, tell us about your biggest triumph in ministry as well as one of your biggest challenges.
In ministry, I found that mainly at the time when I took the office of pastor at Carmichael Bible Church, there were quite a number of things in a structural capacity that needed to be dealt with. And the elders of the church and I quickly moved to undertake those things starting in 1997 when we totally renovated the sanctuary. We removed the old theater chairs that were in there because they were deteriorating, and we completely furnished the hall. Uh, we did quite a number of work like that because at one point the Friendship Mission Hall, not the Friendship Mission, the hall, the original structure, the asbestos needed to be removed from the roof. So we totally renovated that building, putting offices upstairs, two offices downstairs, and there was a large hall upstairs where we totally air conditioned it to hold meetings. Now, later on, we had to change the roof of the sanctuary because we had about two hurricanes which damaged the roof, and it was leaking, and it had to be changed. We also bought church bus to aid with ministry, and so we also developed and had three services. We held an early morning service at 7 a.m. Down at the subdivision of Gladstone Road. Then we held a later service at the sanctuary, and then the 11 a.m. service, and then we had the 6:30 p.m. service. So Sundays were very, very busy for all of us who were in leadership. And those years were good years. I consider them to be among my greatest achievement. One thing I want to say here, though, is that the church membership was not very large, yet we did everything that we did, and we were without any large loan overhead. To tell you how we did it, I stood before the congregation, and remembering what the Lord did through Moses, I said to the congregation that we need to do such and such, and we have no money outstanding with which to do it. So I'm asking you to fund it. And I said to them, the Lord said to Moses, tell my people, bring me gifts of all who are willing. And I reminded them that Moses said those words to the congregation in the wilderness, and they brought him gifts until the time came when he said, don't bring any more. There is no need. Everything is finished. And with every project that we did, whether it was $50,000 or $200,000, whatever the cost, I said those words to the people. And I said to them, if you have $1 million and you desire not to give us anything towards this project, I thank you and God bless you. But if you have only 1 penny and you desire to give that, I will accept that and God bless you. And every project worked out, whether it was purchasing a $50,000 bus, whether it was totally air conditioning the sanctuary, which caused something in the region of about $200,000 all told. Everything was paid for. And when I demitted office in 2013, there were no outstanding debt in Carmichael Bible Church. Now, my greatest challenge was that there were not enough hours in the day, especially on most Saturdays and Sundays, because of the number of services that we were carrying. And I, I believe that if I had been steadfast in the Lord from 1961 up to 1985, I might have been better prepared.
Okay. Well, knowing the things you know now, what advice would you give yourself when you initially started?
I would say steadfastness to the Lord. Because as I said just a moment ago, between 1961 and 1985, I was not always steadfast. And I regret that because I realized that the experience I had in Eleuthera, when I spent many hours on a daily basis, especially at night, from round about 2 o'clock um, until the time it was time to go to school. I spent those hours with the Lord, and those hours were the most fruitful time that I have had in Christian ministry.
Okay. Well, last question for you. What advice would you give to young upcoming pastors?
I would say to all upcoming pastors, work before becoming pastor. If that is where you believe the Lord is leading you, work in every area of ministry that you are able to, because it will give you good experience, so that whatever you ask your congregation to do, you would have intimate knowledge of it. And I would also say, be certain, be certain always to look to the Lord in everything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Pastor Daniel Simmons. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well, thanks. For an old man? Good.
Well, let's start off with you introducing yourself.
Well, I'm Pastor Stephen Edgecombe, and I hail from the beautiful mountainous island of Long Island, McCann's Long Island. I grew up there, got my early education there, went on to Jamaica Bible College, eventually ended up at Columbia International University in Columbia, South Carolina, where I spent my 4 years to earn a bachelor's degree and an additional year to earn a master's degree in Bible, missions, and theology.
Okay.
I was privileged to marry a beautiful lady from the island of Magwana, Dortleen Rhoda Gibson, and she gave me 4 lovely children.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, tell us a little about your testimony and when you realized you've been called to ministry.
I made my first commitment back in around 1965. I was still a teenager, relatively, and it was under the ministry of Pastor Copeland Morley, whom I just saw this past week. It was his preaching from the Old Testament, and where he challenged me to sow in righteousness, and he told us about the impending judgment of God, and how it was important to give your life to Christ at an early age. And I gave my heart to Jesus at that point. And he became a mentor, as it were, to me for most of my early years until I went off to school. And then I had the influence of some of the missionaries that were here in the Bahamas. At the time, it was called the Island Missionary Society. People like Richard Kay, Eleanor Ford, Bruce Weber, who came to be the pastor at Carmichael Bible Church. These were the people that influenced me, and I believe I felt the call to be involved in ministry when I went to Columbia International University. The motto of that school is to know Him, that's Jesus, and to make Him known. And that challenged me to really be involved in seeing that others come to know Jesus and to advance His kingdom on earth. Now, I didn't always live up to the challenge that was given to me, and I screwed up many times in my life, but I am grateful that God in His mercy is a God of forgiveness, a God of restoration, a God of hope, and that's why I'm here today.
Amen. Well, tell us about your biggest triumph in ministry, as well as one of your biggest challenges.
I'd say my biggest triumph has been to see some young folks give their heart to Jesus, and just seeing life change is an amazing thing. And having received Christ myself at an early age, I've been privileged to see some young people give their hearts to Jesus and lives transformed. And to me, that is one of the greatest blessing of ministry. In terms of challenge in ministry, I would say it's been introducing change. As many of you might know, people don't like change. And I remember coming to Carmichael Community and trying to introduce a small group, and I got a lot of pushback on that. People were not ready for that, and I've learned some lessons about how to introduce change, and I probably didn't do it as well as I could have, or as well as I would now do it if I had to do it again.
What advice would you give yourself when you initially started?
I would say one of the things that I would tell myself is to set guardrails around my life and around my marriage in a way that will keep things whole and avoid some of the pitfalls that I fell into along the way. Another thing I would do for myself, if I had to go back, and that would be to invest more time in building relationships with my children in a way that memories for them, so that going forward their lives would be much more enriched, and our relationship would be much more meaningful.
Okay. Well, my last question for you is, what advice would you give to young upcoming pastors?
I would say maintain an intimate relationship with Jesus. Maintain your daily walk. Spend time in the scriptures with God and His Word. Build guardrails in your life to protect you. Be involved with others. Don't try to do ministry alone, but have a cadre of ministers and confidants who can guide you and who can help you and who can hold you accountable in the ministry. The next thing I would say, I would suggest to young ministers, and that is learn how to take time to rest. And don't think that you have to do everything by yourself and you have to keep going and going, because what happens, you get burned out. And so you need to take time to get away, to take a day off, relax, enjoy your family, and learn to rest. God gave us 6 days to work, and He said, He wants you to rest one day. So He Himself set the example for resting. So I think that's one of the problems that many of us who are in ministry, especially in the early days, we never learn what it means to take time to refresh.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today, Pastor Edgecombe.
Thank you very much.